My name is Steve Ono. I'm the author of Canadian Guitarist, Stephen Dream, and I'm here to talk about Basslines. We've just discussed the notes on the 5th and 6th strings, the A string, A, B, C, and it's B flat and C sharp, and the low E, F, G, and the F sharp and the G sharp. Now, bass notes are organized in a particular way. The root note of the chord is the fundamental bass note of the chord. But the 5th is the secondary bass note of the chord. So C and G work together all the time in the key of C. So here I'm hitting the 5th string, 6th string, and my 3rd finger is moving next door for the bass note C and the bass note G. C, G, C, G, C, G, C, G. Now that is the most popular bass line in the world, okay? Now, if you're talking rock and roll, it's even simpler. They just play one note all the time. Right? Like 8/8 notes, all one note. That's pretty typical of a lot of rock and roll in the 70s and 60s and 80s. Now, bass notes, though, traditionally do this 1/5 thing, and that's typical of all kinds of music. American country, western, Mexican music. Even a waltz has an alternating bass line, and that's what we call it, the alternating 1/5 bass line. And yes, the 5 is the leftover note that isn't the 3rd in a triad. Remember talking about that? The 3rd note is what changes to make a triad major or minor. Well, this uses only the 1st and the 5th, which means it's the same pattern whether you're playing an A chord or an A minor or an A7. So what's the pattern? 1/5 for A. Well, on an A, I can either move up to the 5 or I can move down to the 5, the low E. Okay? Now, all of this leads to the idea that these bass notes can be worked with the minor chord, the major chord. In fact, that 1/5 bass line works for every A chord, and it's always A to E. Now, there's also what are known as walk-up bass runs, and those bass runs occur in alphabetical order. If I'm going to go between a C and a G chord, or a C and an F, I would use E, D, and E as passing tones in my bass line. Okay, so I went C, strum, D, E, F. And that is a C to F walk up. Here's the F to C back down. Okay, and C to G. Now on a G or G7, the 5 is a D, so that's the open 4th string. And then to walk back up to the C, G, A, B, C. Okay? Now, if I'm playing in 4/4 time, I've got the strum on 2 and the walk on 3 and 4. If it was a waltz, I wouldn't need the strum on 2. I would just go 1, 2, 3. So that would be typical of a waltz. Okay? So here we go for the first exercise. C, G, C, up to an F, C, F, E, D, C, G, C, B, A, G, D, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, down to the C, down to the G, back to the C. Now that is a typical kind of bass line using the alternating bass and a walk up, walk down. And again, the walk up, walk downs are always in alphabetical order going up. C, D, E, F, reverse alphabetical order coming down. F, E, D, C, or C, B, A, G, or up, G, A, B, C. If I'm going to run every chord in A minor, then I've got my A minor to a D minor to an E minor back to an A minor. That gives you an illustration of the same kind of thing using bass notes. None of the walking up and down, just a straight chord bass note. Now, what happens if I'm going up the chord scale? I've got a C, G. If I go to D minor, I get a D and an A. E minor, I get my E and my B. F and C for the F chord. Low G and fourth string D for the G chord. A minor gets the open A and the open E. Now your G7 over B, play the B, then the G, and the C chord, and that is the exercise for the chord scale with bass notes. And again, I'm just going to alternate the bass notes, and when I get to the seventh note, the B, it's a G7 with a B bass. Last exercise for this section is C to G7 and C to F, and then the quick C to G7. Bass lines, alternating bass lines, walk ups, and walk downs.